To retire or not to retire? That is the question. Does that sound Shakespearean? To retire or not to retire? This is a question we have to ask ourselves as we get up into perhaps our late 50s. We think to ourselves, would it be in my interests, really, to retire? Let's take the following scenario. You love your job. You really enjoy it. You look forward to Monday mornings. Am I being cynical here? You look forward to Monday mornings when you get in early, you go to your coffee shop, you have maybe a nice hot breakfast, and then you get inside and there's hardly anyone in the office yet, and you maybe put on your computer and you begin to work and you love it. If you love it, why would you want to leave? Maybe there's a compulsory retiring age coming up where you have to leave. Just supposing you don't. Supposing you work for yourself. Or you have a boss who will allow you to stay on till you're old and doddering and you have to go out feet first. Would you retire? Should you retire? Obviously, if you like your job and it's paying the bills, you're feeling secure in it and you're really happy, why would you want to retire? And yet so many of us do. But if you do like your job, you'd be asking yourself the questions, if I retire, what would I miss? One of the things you'd miss, of course, is the security of an incoming paycheck. Maybe every week, every fortnight, every month, whatever the case may be. And the point that you're feeling more and more secure financially as you get older. But what about that job, the job you like? Sometimes we like jobs even though they are stressful. I can remember when I was a young man working as a radio operator, I loved the job. Sometimes it was quiet, sometimes it was stressful, sometimes it was very stressful. As an air ground operator, I'd be sitting in the hot seat, talking to aircraft, working out separation and loving it. Always glad to go on watch. Loved it. That was in my 20s. By the time you get to your mid-30s, you start to slow down a bit. And this isn't the sort of job you like. But to get back to your job, if you really like it and it's not stressful, stay in it. That would be the common sense thing to do. But a lot of jobs might not seem stressful because you've been so used to the stress, you've got used to it. You go along to the doctor and he tells you you've got high blood pressure and all sorts of problems caused by stress. No matter how much you like that job, start thinking about retirement. So what would you miss? You'd miss the paycheck. You'd miss the routine. You'd miss the workmates. You miss the camaraderie and the teamsmanship, whatever goes on there. And you have to realise that. When you retire, it's a progression into a new lifestyle altogether, for the most part. So if you're sensible, now whether you love your job or not, you'll have interests outside of work. Best to have 2 or 3 interests outside of work so that when you retire, you can carry on with those interests and step them up. I was always into creative writing and speaking to audiences, telling stories. When I first started telling stories outside, I told maybe 60, 65 stories between 1982 and 1995. And after that, about 850. I stepped it up. You can do the same. Whatever your interests are that you carry forward, once you retire, you'll have the energy and the time to step them up. This can be the most rewarding, happiest time of your life. I was also into writing books. Between 1968 and 1995, I probably wrote 4 books. After that, another 10, plus hundreds of essays. The point I'm making is this. In the early years of retirement, and the earlier you retire, the better, you'll have all this energy and all this wisdom. You'll be able to do so much with it. So unless you really do love your job, really, really do love it, my advice is retire early. The earlier you retire, the more productive and happy that you will be, I think, in the long term.